blowing your chance at college scholarships because you got in your feelings during a race. Sad. Just sad. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Boule in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, because we're having us a barbecue. A black female track runner allegedly bashed another black female track runner in the head with a baton during a relay race in Virginia.
Senior Alaila Everett has been charged with the misdemeanor of assault and battery out of Lynchburg. Now, I spoke with Everett's father, who told me his family is going to fight this to help clear their daughter's name. The Lynchburg Commonwealth's attorney confirmed on Wednesday that Everett was charged for her role in the incident in Lynchburg, where she is seen hitting another runner, Kaelen Tucker, in the head with a baton. Earlier this week, I spoke with Everett and her dad. She said what is seen in the video was an accident. Everett said she lost her balance because the runner did not provide herself enough distance to cut into the inside lane of the track during the race. Everett says the hit was not intentional, but she's received backlash online, including death threats. We spoke to Lynchburg Commonwealth's attorney Bethany Harrison, who explained the outcome for Everett if she's found guilty in juvenile court.
The court has many what we call dispositional options available to it, many things the court can order to help in that goal of rehabilitation. It could be community service, it could be time in detention, and a lot of things in between, like counseling, services of that nature.
The Portsmouth NAACP is reacting to the charge. I'll tell you what they had to say at 5. I'm Danielle Seda, WTKR News 3.
Now, in this alleged incident that took place at the VHSL Class 3 State Indoor Championships at Liberty University in Virginia, senior Alaila Everett, who represented IC Norcom High School, is accused of attacking fellow competitor Kaelen Tucker from another school during a 4x200-meter relay race at the VHSL Class 3 State Indoor Championships at Liberty University, and is accused of hitting her in the head with a baton. And after Kaelen Tucker was hit in the head with a baton, she basically wound up staggering to a section of the whole track where she received medical care. And as a result of this striking of Kaelen Tucker, Alaila Everett was disqualified from the race and was also charged by the prosecutor's office for assault. Now, the police in Virginia are seeing the alleged behavior of Kaelen Tucker as a violent and isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of the video and Kaelen Tucker's alleged behavior, it's looking like the pattern and profile of feminist indoctrinated women that I talk about in my book, The Woman Crisis. And I have to wonder if Alaila Everett was one of these women in crisis who became deeply frustrated because she was losing her section of the race. And as she was losing her section of the race, what she did was go out and react emotionally by allegedly assaulting Kaelen Tucker. That's what it appears to be on the video that has gone viral, because according to some people, they believe that this was something that was done deliberately based on the actions of Alaila Everett during that race, because the way she was moving her arm looks like it was an intentional hit at the back of the head of Kaelen Tucker. Now, according to reports, Alaila Everett says that she did not intentionally hit Kaelen Tucker. No, Alaila Everett says that she was trying to find her balance because the other runner was getting in her way, And she says that because this other runner was getting in her way, she had no room to move. However, I find that explanation to be quite suspect, and I find that explanation to be quite suspect because when I look at the way that Alaila Everett is allegedly moving her arms in the video, it clearly is looking like she was clearly gesturing to actually intentionally hit Kaelen Tucker. That's what it was looking like to me, because it was looking to me from the video that she willfully and intentionally hit Kaelen Tucker because she was deeply frustrated about losing to a competitor and losing in her portion of the race. Because when I look at the body language of Alaila Everett, I'm not really seeing how she's losing her balance because the other runner is in her lane. No, when I look at her body language, it's looking like an intentional hit to me, because when I look at the whole situation as related to this running, I mean, most runners, when they're doing a race and they have a baton, they're usually, again, putting both arms in front of them and they're staying in their lane. And as they're staying in their lane, again, keeping their arms in front of them, that's what usually runners do. However, when I look at Alaila Everett as related to the way she is holding her arms, it looked like, again, an intentional hit to eliminate competition because she did not want to be accountable for losing the overall race, because she basically, again, was not able to compete. And when I look at her behavior, it reminds me of other incidents where women just could not deal with the fact that somebody was actually better than them. And those incidents, again, remind me of incidents like the one in the 90s with Tonya Harding, an ice skater who basically was competing against Nancy Kerrigan as related to figure skating. And as Tonya Harding was competing with Nancy Kerrigan, she sought to eliminate her competition by having somebody, I believe his name was Jeff Galooly, wind up hitting Nancy Kerrigan in the leg. And as she had her hit her in the leg, this made it where Nancy Kerrigan had a serious injury, that prevented her from being able to compete in ice skating. And eventually, what happened was, after this was revealed, Tonya Harding basically wound up losing her career in ice skating, and eventually Nancy Kerrigan went on to win a silver medal in the Olympics, but we never got it to see if she could ever win the gold. That's what happened in the case of Nancy Kerrigan. Again, a legendary Olympic ice skater, because Tonya Harding just could not compete with her. And because she couldn't compete with her, what happened was that Tonya Harding basically was simmering and boiling in anger and conspired to do harm to Nancy Kerrigan, and wound up, again, derailing her career and keeping it from being as great as it was. Now, Nancy Kerrigan did go on to win other championships, but she never got that chance to win that gold medal, all because of Tonya Harding's interference. Now, it also reminds me of another incident that a viewer wanted me to talk about as related to Wanda Holloway. Now, Wanda Holloway was an American woman from Texas who hired a hitman to kill the mother of her daughter's junior high school cheerleading rival. And this was a major story in the 90s. I mean, this was a story because she basically, Wanda Holloway's daughter, Shanna, wasn't able to, again, go out here and get a spot on the junior high school cheerleading squad, and basically got frustrated and her mother got frustrated to the point where she hired a hitman to go out here and kill the mother of the other girl, again, as related to things. And this is where she hired this hitman, and eventually what happened was police got involved and arrested Wanda Holloway. And after Wanda Holloway got arrested, she eventually had two trials. One where it basically, again, I think possibly ended in a situation where she was convicted and sentenced to 15 years in prison. But that was overturned because the whole thing is the juror, on a technicality, because the juror was on probation for drugs and shouldn't have been served on a jury, so they made a mistrial. And then they had a second trial and she wound up getting convicted yet again, but wound up out of prison in less than 6 months of her sentence because of white privilege. But this whole situation just really shows the extremes that women will go to as related to competition, and go to those extremes to eliminate competition to the point where they will commit crimes. That's what was shown here with this pattern of behavior that was shown with with Tonya Harding and Wanda Calloway. And in the case of Alaila Everett, it's looking like she possibly did go to that extreme as related to this case of the video with Kaelen Tucker. She just could not, again, compete on that level and got frustrated to the point where she exploded in this rage about possibly losing this race, and showed, again, no sort of grit or resolve, because as she got in her feelings, she got frustrated and angry, and as she got frustrated and angry, she wound up exploding in a rage where she acted impulsively, and as she acted impulsively, this is going to have dire consequences for her as related to not only that race where she was disqualified, but could possibly wind up leading to her in a place where she destroys her own professional reputation as related to running track, because with her assaulting a fellow competitor, many colleges are not going to consider her for any sort of scholarship at this point. And many schools possibly wouldn't even consider her for admission because they would consider her to be a liability. Many coaches who were possibly scouting her because she was a senior in school, she basically, again, blew all those chances, all for one moment where she got caught up in her feelings. One moment where she basically got caught up in her feelings, and got caught up in her feelings to the point where she wasn't thinking critically about more important things like her academic career after high school, her academic situation as related to possible scholarships and getting funding for school, and even her own freedom, because she possibly, with these juvenile charges, will be dealing with a situation where there will be something on her juvenile record, and she's lucky that she's not 18 years old, because she could possibly have been dealing with a felony and could have been on the road from going from a possible situation where it possibly, as I see it, may lead to her just getting a plea deal and doing some community service and probation. If she were 18 years old, she might have been in a situation where she might be on the road to being in a jail or a penitentiary with Betty, Martha, and Big Lou, and going to be free to go to school and eat whatever she wants to, eating slop in the mess hall and having some commissary. Now, this whole situation has really gotten out of control because, according to some reports, this woman, Alaila Everett, is now dealing with a lot of situations with racial slurs and death threats, and again, things going too far, because again, when it comes down to women and competition, you have folks who go to extremes, and even worse, you have beta males egging things on as related to competition. And again, this whole type of competition is something that some women can't handle, and because they can't handle it, what happens to those women is those women wind up on the road to becoming women in crisis, and that's what's happening here to Alaila Everett. She basically could not handle the pressures of competition and was not raised to have a discipline or resolve to be able to understand that, again, when you compete, there's going to be a winner and a loser, and sometimes you just have to accept losing and learn how to do better the next time. Sometimes you just have to learn how to do better the next time and practice even more. That's just all part of life when you're a competitor. But sadly, many girls are not getting this because a lot of girls, again, as they've been raised in this feminist culture, believe that they are basically entitled to get whatever they want and don't understand that in the world, again, people compete in the world. Men are basically raised when they're young to understand the world is competition and there's a winner and a loser, and basically you give your best effort, and you give your best effort when you compete. And if somebody else wins, you basically accept losing, and as you accept losing, you start to take a look at yourself and what you do wrong. Unfortunately, when it comes down to many feminist indoctrinated women, they don't like accountability. They don't like taking responsibility. They don't like taking ownership of a situation. And as they don't like taking accountability or responsibility of a situation, this is where their emotions start to get the better of them and they act impulsively. And that's what I believe I've seen in that video that went viral. That's what I believe I saw in that video, where she clearly was gesturing her hand backwards. I don't believe that she lost her balance. I believe, based on what was seen in the video, that she was again looking to assault this young woman who suffered a fractured skull and a concussion, all due to the impulsive anger of this young woman. That's what I believe I saw in the video. Based on the evidence presented, I believe that this woman willfully and intentionally attacked this other young woman because she was angry about losing this race, which was next to nothing when you consider it was her senior year. And if this is her senior year and we're in March right now, usually, again, this is where the colleges do make their decisions about who was going to be admitted in their university. And sadly, Alaila Everett basically wound up here screwing up her chances as related to college. She could have possibly been able to get a full scholarship for track, could have had a chance at having a full ride to those schools paid for free, and sadly wound up blowing that chance because no coach will trust her at this point after pulling a stunt like this that makes the school look bad, destroys the reputation of the school, destroys the reputation of the team, and again, just unsportsmanlike behavior. No coach is going to trust her at this point, and the fact that she has not apologized is something that I find to be quite troubling. I find it quite troubling that the coach and Alaila Everett have not apologized just to this young woman who she struck. I mean, Kaelen Tucker. I find it sad that she did not go out here and apologize to this young woman who she was seen clearly assaulting in this video. I mean, clearly no apology, and again, very unsportsmanlike conduct. But this is what happens when you have feminist indoctrinated women who don't know how to compete. Again, when they're out here, they're all in their feelings about the situation and not really thinking critically about consequences. And as they don't think critically about consequences, they go from women who have their freedom to go out here and actualize their potential, have their freedom to go out here and basically go out here and live an abundant life and be blessed by God. But sadly, because these women, again, don't think up critically about things as related to the big picture, they go from women being blessed to be on the road to success to sadly winding up becoming yet another woman in crisis. Now, if you want to learn more about how to identify the behavior of women who are winding up to become women in crisis and get them off that road where they won't wind up in crisis, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to learn how the feminist indoctrinated mindset destroys the minds of many black women and leads to them being on a road to a paradigm of failure, you can pick up my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, on Amazon.com, along with The Woman Crisis, and you can get both of these books and have your life transformed so that you can move your life forward and improve the quality of your life by learning how to identify dysfunctional behavior and break away from it. And again, you can find both of those books at online booksellers everywhere in paperback and digital format. And if you want to go out here and support the channel like a viewer did who requested this video, you can drop a donation for a minimum of $15 if you want to request a video on the PayPal or the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. And if I know something about that subject, I will make that video for you. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book, The Man Crisis, comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.